That date stamped on your food, it wasn't put there to protect you. Right now in your fridge, there are probably 3 or 4 items you'd throw away the moment that number ticks over. Milk, yogurt, maybe some deli meat. You've done it 100 times without thinking. Tossed it, replaced it, moved on. It felt responsible. It felt like the right thing to do. But here's what nobody told you. That date was never a safety date. It was never tested, never regulated the same way across products, and in most cases, it was chosen by the company that was selling you the food. Not by a scientist, not by a regulator, by a marketing team working backward from an inventory cycle. You've been making decisions about what's safe to eat based on a number that in many cases means almost nothing. The worst part? You were never supposed to question it. Don't throw anything away yet. Stay with us. This isn't a video about whether your leftovers are still good. This is about a system, one that shapes what you buy, when you buy it, and what you throw away. That was designed with almost no input from food safety science and a significant amount of input from food industry lobbying. We've gone through consumer protection reports, food waste studies, peer-reviewed research, and the actual legislative history behind expiration labeling in the US and Europe. What we found is a pattern hiding in plain sight, on every shelf, in every supermarket you've ever walked into. A pattern so normalized that most people have stopped noticing it entirely. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what each type of date label actually means, which ones to take seriously, how this system quietly costs the average household thousands of dollars a year, and, most importantly, who benefits from the confusion. Because someone does, and it isn't you. If you've ever felt vaguely guilty throwing away food that looked and smelled completely fine, you're not being irrational. You're responding to a system that was never designed to be rational. Here's what most people don't know. In the United States, there is no federal law requiring expiration dates on food products. None. With the exception of infant formula, manufacturers can print whatever date they want, in whatever format they choose, with no obligation to base it on scientific testing. No required methodology, no required verification. Just a number, printed with full authority, trusted implicitly by almost everyone who reads it. And the language gets murkier when you look closely. Best by, use by, sell by, enjoy by, best before, fresh by. These phrases are not interchangeable, they are not standardized, and most consumers have no idea they mean different things, or in some cases nothing enforceable at all. They all look official, they all feel like instructions, and they're treated that way in kitchens across the country every single day. Research by NRDC and Harvard Law School found that confusion over date labels is one of the leading drivers of household food waste in the developed world. The average American family throws away hundreds of dollars worth of food every year. Food that was, by any reasonable measure, still perfectly safe to eat. Not spoiled, not dangerous, just past a date that was never scientifically required in the first place. You weren't confused because you weren't paying attention. You were confused because the labels were designed to be confusing. Now let's talk about what this confusion actually costs. In the US alone, roughly 30 to 40% of the food supply goes to waste every year. A significant portion of that happens at the consumer level. Ordinary people opening their fridges, looking at a number, and deciding that what's inside is no longer worth keeping. In many of those cases, the date referred to peak quality, not spoilage, not contamination, just the manufacturer's preferred window for optimal taste and appearance. The financial reality is hard to ignore. Estimates put the annual cost of food waste to the average household at anywhere from $1,500 to nearly $3,000 per year for a family of 4. That's not a grocery budget inefficiency. That's a car payment, a family holiday, a month's rent in some parts of the country. Money that evaporates quietly and repeatedly because of a date stamp that carried no legal safety guarantee whatsoever. And if you think this is mostly about fresh produce or dairy, it's not. Canned foods, dry pasta, rice, honey, which if stored correctly has an effectively indefinite shelf life. Products with real-world shelf lives that stretch years beyond their printed dates are being discarded by people conditioned to trust a number over their own senses. When food gets thrown away, it isn't just a financial loss. Food production is resource-intensive: water, land, energy, transport. When you throw away food that didn't need to be thrown away, you're discarding every resource that went into producing it. The environmental cost of unnecessary food waste is staggering, and date label confusion sits right at the center of it. What we're about to show you is the part they really don't want you to understand. The label system doesn't just cost consumers money, it was structured in part by the very industry it was supposed to regulate. In the 1970s, consumer advocacy groups pushed for standardized, federally regulated food dating. Dozens of congressional bills were introduced. The push for federal standardization ultimately lost momentum, a result in part of industry resistance and a lack of political will. What emerged instead was a patchwork of voluntary state-by-state guidelines that manufacturers had significant influence in shaping and very little incentive to change ever since. The result is a system where a company can print "Best by March 14th" on a product, not because testing showed quality decline after that date, but because that date was chosen to manage inventory cycles, encourage repurchase, and minimize liability. All at the same time. 3 business objectives, 0 safety requirements, 1 number that looks to the average consumer like an official guarantee. Retailers are part of this too. Sell-by dates are set conservatively so stores can move product efficiently, but most consumers don't know that. They see "sell-by yesterday" and assume the product is no longer safe. Into the bin it goes. The store benefits, the manufacturer benefits. The consumer pays twice, once at the register, and once when they replace what they just threw away. This isn't a conspiracy, it's just a system that works extraordinarily well for the people who operate it and has no meaningful pressure to reform. The system isn't broken. For the people who designed it, it's working exactly as intended. To be fair, there is one label that actually means something. Use by on fresh meat, fish, and ready-to-eat perishable products. Take that one seriously. That label has genuine safety implications, and it's the one case where ignoring the date carries real risk. Everything else, best by, best before, sell by, treat those like a strong suggestion from someone who also happens to be selling you a replacement. So why hasn't any of this changed? Because the system generates revenue. Premature disposal means earlier repurchase. Earlier repurchase means higher volume. Higher volume means higher profit. There is no financial incentive for manufacturers, retailers, or distributors to make expiration labeling clearer or more scientifically grounded. Every dollar of food thrown away unnecessarily is, somewhere upstream, a dollar of food someone is going to sell again. Consumer education efforts exist, but they're underfunded and fighting against a system where the incumbent has a structural advantage. When the label on the product tells one story and the public health campaign tells another, most people trust the label. That's not a failure of intelligence. That's just how authority works. In the meantime, the cost stays exactly where it's always been, with you. In the food you throw away, in the money you spend replacing it, in the quiet assumption that the number on the package was put there because someone was looking out for your health. It wasn't. It was put there because someone was required to put something there, or because putting something there was good for business. Understanding that doesn't just save you money. It rewires how you read every label in every aisle from this point forward. Here's what actually matters. Use your senses. Smell it. Look at it. If you're genuinely uncertain, taste a small amount. For the vast majority of products, your instincts are more reliable than a manufacturer's inventory schedule. Humans evolved to detect spoilage. That system works. The date stamp is a newcomer by comparison. Know the one rule with teeth: use by on fresh perishables. Meat, fish, ready-to-eat products. That's the only label with consistent safety implications. Everything else refers to quality, not safety. Treat it accordingly, not as a deadline but as a rough guideline from someone with an interest in you buying more. Stop letting a marketing date make a $100 a month decision for you. The food industry spent decades building a system that profits from your uncertainty. It was built without your input, refined without your knowledge, and sustained because most people never thought to question it. Now you have. Most people walk past this every single day. You won't anymore.